novembre 2016, Montréal est devenue la première ville en Amérique du Nord à accueillir le Global Diplomacy Lab grâce aux efforts de ses deux partenaires locaux, l'Institut d'études internationales de Montréal, basé à l'UQAM, et le Montreal Institute of Genocide and Human Rights Study, le MIGS, basé à Concordia.
Estas dos instituciones, una francófona y otra anglófona, han colaborado de manera tal que se ha conseguido un esfuerzo bastante eficaz, bastante productivo y que ha dado pie y que seguirá dando pie a muchas otras fuentes de colaboración.
Le Global Diplomacy Lab est une initiative du gouvernement allemand, plus particulièrement du ministère des Affaires étrangères de l'Allemagne, et est soutenu par plusieurs grandes fondations allemandes, dont la fondation BMW Herbert Kant.
And supported here in Montreal by the City of Montreal, Living Labs, the Canadian International Council, a whole set of international actors that call Montreal home. We brought in some of the top speakers of the world to interact and deal with and find solutions to some of the most important issues facing society and diplomats and prepare them for the challenges ahead.
Le Global Diplomacy Lab est un espace collaboratif pour discuter et penser la diplomatie au 21e siècle. Une diplomatie nouvelle, plus inclusive, qui dépasse les acteurs et les politiques traditionnelles.
And the video you're going to watch next is going to showcase some of the top moments of the Global Diplomacy Lab here in Montreal, including smart city initiatives, including digital diplomacy, including all sorts of issues related to how cities are becoming new digital diplomats.
I'm very happy to be here today because I think that that's an interesting time where cities are digital diplomat.
To be a smart city, you need to harness the wealth of know-how and creativity in your communities. It starts with the citizens. It starts with giving and leveraging the power of your employees. It starts with leveraging, again, the research and innovation capabilities of your universities. But also, it starts with having more constructive relationships with the private sector. Second building block was data. Data is, I would say, what is oil was 100 years ago for this generation. Private companies that started decades ago, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, the Googles and other companies, so forth, that base their business models on data are the billion-dollar companies of today. And last but not least, to use that data to build trust, because a lot of public institutions in the last years had different moments where their trust bond with the citizens was broken for numerous reasons. So data is a key glue to glue that trust back with the government.
Management of foreign challenges, if you think about it, 42 of the 100 largest economic entities, what are they? Are they corporations? No, they're cities. So cities have an international stake, they have an international role, and they have power. They have economic power, they have human power, and they have power to influence hearts and minds. So if we think about the future of diplomacy, and if we think about the kind of players that are going to begin to have a larger role and a bigger impact, surely it's cities.
Infrastructure, urban design, sociology, economy, are all involved in smart cities. But how could we define a global framework to describe what is a smart city?
It's a city that puts citizens first, and I love the presentation by Catherine because to me it's music to my ears when she says that cities have the power to change the course of life of their citizens. Cities have the best tools to deal with situations such as the refugee crisis, as we saw across Europe, or even here in Montreal when we hosted 25,000 Syrians across Canada. And cities are the best equipped to basically drive the new economic growth by harnessing the know-how and the creativity of the communities. Investing in human capital, it's investing in your citizens. And most importantly, and I had the privilege to meet once Michael Bloomberg. I can't imagine working with him, how great it should have been.
Yes.
And I asked him in that 10 seconds that I had at City Lab in Los Angeles, it was the first year of the mandate, I said, Mayor Bloomberg, what piece of advice do you have for me? He said, Harut, if you cannot measure the progress of any of the initiatives that you're laying out, just don't do them. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. That's great. So we are very excited that we'll be the Living Lab at the University of Quebec with the New City Foundation and hopefully Global Diplomacy Lab, because as Professor Mitchell at MIT said, I have loved it, he said, we need to put together urban planner, architects, designer, computer scientists, artists, human behavior students, and not only be multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, but anti-disciplinary.
We're mandated at City Hall or at the city agencies that address whatever problem that you have to respond and to give you a date on which it will be done. And since we turned city services into customer services, we had a quality control team. And the quality control team, because Michael R. Bloomberg was very interested in making sure that everything we did was measurable to the taxpayer, the tiny little wagons that my colleagues went out in for quality control were these little tiny, basically one-seater Isetta type things. Right, that later changed when BMW gave us this delightful, battery-operated cars, and they were, my colleagues were very excited. But nonetheless, they rode out in these like one-seaters because if you had two people in a car, what was the second person doing? And so, to your point, it was all about communicate. It was about optics, but it was also about communications. What's the story you're going to tell about service provision and how you're getting it done, and how this relates to the global framework. So, to your original question, Louise, is this idea that cities have to come up with solutions at a pace which nobody else, no nation state has to satisfy. Absolutely. Why? Because look at you impatient people. You want it fixed yesterday. You want to have access to that 3 weeks ago. Where is my thing with the stuff? How's my coffee taking 2 minutes longer? I got places to go. I have places to be.
I am personally privileged as a local politician because we have a very, very powerful and skilled mayor who has basically made the career shift from federal politics to local politics. And he has a very distinct and specific know-how of how the other level of governments work and how even international networks work. So he's managed to get our issues a very high level of visibility. So basically, a lot of the stuff that we've highlighted has already been either addressed or it's in the process of being addressed.
Part of the strengths of these networks is that they're picking and choosing, and they're technically open, but cities can opt in and out, and so that in some ways makes networks strong, but it might not make them as sticky or as contained as we're used to. And so this is, institutionally, I think this is the brave new world in which we operate.
We went from the user to the citizen and the diplomat.
Yeah, there you
go. And each and every one of us will become. Thank you so much.
Thank you.